Parallel universes explore what might happen if events shift from expected paths. The what if question lies at the heart of alternate realities and basically underscores the imagination and creative potential. For instance, Stranger Things proves their commercial success, drawing record-breaking Netflix views. Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone also uses these worlds for subtle commentary on society, shaping stories around current issues and moral dilemmas. There have been a plethora of such TV shows and movies that have explored the concepts of alternate realities and parallel universes, and in this video, we are gonna explore the 12 creepiest and scariest of all. Let's begin, shall we? But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Wait.
Think.
Get Out, 2017. Jordan Peele's film Get Out introduced one of modern horror's most interesting yet unsettling concepts, the sunken place. This void is basically an oppressive state of helplessness and isolation. The idea first appears when protagonist Chris Washington visits his girlfriend Rose Armitage's family estate. There, Rose's mother, Missy, a hypnotist, ensnares Chris by focusing on a traumatic childhood memory while stirring tea. At the climax of their session, Chris suddenly loses motor control and falls into a dark, infinite emptiness. His consciousness drifts downward, while his field of vision narrows into a distant window above him. Although he still sees what unfolds through his own eyes, he cannot influence his body's actions. Once Missy shuts his eyelids, he is left in total darkness, trapped without a clear way back. At first, the sunken place seems like an unpleasant side effect of Missy's hypnotic treatment. Chris wakes up the next morning, free of his smoking habit, and assumes that was the goal. Soon, however, he discovers the truth. The Armitage family and their wealthy friends use the sunken place to subdue victims, always black individuals. They then transplant the consciousness of an older or disabled white person into the victim's body. This grants the new inhabitant full physical control, while the original owner remains imprisoned inside the sunken place, forced to watch life go by with no agency. The Armitages believe black bodies offer superior genetics, and that controlling them serves their personal gain and what they deem protection of society. Chris is not the first to suffer this fate. Andre King, kidnapped in the film's opening scene, endures the sunken place long before Chris arrives. The Armitages transfer the mind of a dying white man into Andre's body, leaving Andre's consciousness stuck in permanent darkness. Two other victims are Rose's grandparents, who now inhabit the bodies of Georgina, the housekeeper, and Walter, the groundskeeper. Both remain trapped beneath the surface while the grandparents live on. Their original selves have no freedom, no voice, no way to escape. Chris eventually manages to break free. A camera flash briefly jolts individuals back into control, revealing the original consciousness behind the masquerade. Chris uses this discovery to disrupt Walter's possession. Walter, horrified by his own entrapment, chooses death rather than continue as a pawn. Chris escapes the estate alive, but Andre remains lost in the sunken place, never seen again. Stranger Things, 2016 to present. Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1 explored in pretty great detail the mess of an alternate dimension that the Upside Down was. The dimension that has haunted Hawkins for decades. This strange world mirrors our own, but differs in its harsh, inhospitable atmosphere, and is filled with deadly creatures bound together under a single consciousness, a hive mind, basically. At its apex is a mind flayer, a powerful entity that links every inhabitant of that realm. Yet recent revelations indicate that the Upside Down is not simply a parallel reality, but something molded and reshaped by events centered on Hawkins itself. Originally, this other dimension existed as a separate universe, likely isolated for eons. Its native ecosystem has horrors like the Demogorgon, monstrous beings that share a hive mind. The presence of the Mind Flayer suggests that these creatures evolved beneath its influence. Despite its inherent dangers, the Upside Down did not resemble Hawkins from the start. Instead, it gained its current form in 1983 when 11 inadvertently opened a gate. The telekinetic confrontation between 11 and Number 1 tore a rift through dimensions, which hurled the villain into this unknown realm. Once forced into that environment, he helped shape what followed. The Upside Down aligned with Hawkins at that exact moment and became a grimdark snapshot of the town's state in 1983. Since then, it has remained trapped in that era, replicating Hawkins' layout and structures without ever progressing. This forced convergence of worlds introduced a dangerous instability. While the Mind Flayer once seemed to reign supreme, there are signs that the figure known as Vecna, formerly Number 1, may have gained influence over the entire hive mind. His introduction into the Upside Down altered the balance of power and transformed the dimension into something even more threatening. He uses his abilities to create new gates and exert pressure on the boundaries that separate the two worlds. Each new victim he claims in Hawkins pries the dimensions closer together. This may explain why the Upside Down now experiences frequent earthquakes. These tremors do not appear in Hawkins, suggesting that the Upside Down itself suffers from structural strain, its boundaries stressed by Vecna's actions. The environment has also changed since 11 first opened a portal. Air within the Upside Down was once more noxious, but humans can now endure it slightly better. Such small shifts mean that the Upside Down's fabric is mutating as it collides more fully with Hawkins. Vecna's role in this transformation remains uncertain, but he seems intent on merging the worlds. His steady expansion of the gates may soon eliminate any separation. If so, the Upside Down, no longer content to remain a hidden reflection, could fully flood into Hawkins, bringing with it the Mind Flayer's monstrous legions and whatever malevolence now guides them. In this scenario, the Upside Down would no longer be a distant nightmare. It would become an immediate threat.
Make you itch, make you sneeze, make you twitch.
Jumanji, 1995. The jungle world in the Jumanji franchise is a dangerous and fantastical environment contained within a magical game that can manifest in different forms. Originally as a board game and later as a console-style video game. While the 1995 film Jumanji shows the game's jungle gradually spilling into the real world, the more recent films Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle in 2017 and its 2019 sequel Jumanji: The Next Level depict characters being transported directly into Jumanji itself, and that's when we get to see the game's lush rainforest setting in full detail. In its earliest incarnation, the jungle mostly appeared as fearsome creatures and plants appearing in the player's reality. Creeping vines slithered through living rooms, rampaging pelicans stole game pieces, and stampeding rhinos charged down suburban streets. And this wasn't even the full extent of the mess that the jungle world of Jumanji was. The modern films also showed Jumanji's jungle as a sprawling, self-contained universe, but this time around, the setting is no longer a vague or implied backdrop, but a fully realized environment with distinct regions, obstacles, and objectives. Dense tropical foliage covers cliffs and waterfalls, while ancient ruins become home to mysterious puzzles and traps. The atmosphere is vibrant with bright green canopies, thick undergrowth, and streams teeming with crocodiles. Massive hippopotamuses, venomous snakes, jaguars, and swarms of mosquitoes represent the natural hazards that fill every corner of the landscape. This new Jumanji world functions according to the rules of just about any other video game. Each character inhabits an avatar with specific strengths and weaknesses, which makes the dangers of the jungle even more elevated and pronounced. The environment responds dynamically to these rules. For instance, Non-player characters deliver cryptic clues in scripted sequences, while the terrain changes as characters progress through levels. Though the jungle is the central backdrop, other biomes exist within the game as expansions in the next level, shown as deserts, mountains, and snow-covered realms. Still, the jungle remains the signature setting, representing both the heart of Jumanji and the first stage players must survive. The jungle's lore implies it has existed for countless ages and has been shaped by the mysterious power of the Jumanji game. Ancient temples could mean civilizations have now been forgotten and fell prey to wilderness. Treasure maps, hidden tunnels, and elaborate riddles all convey the sense that this jungle is more than a simple rainforest. It is a living puzzle designed to challenge anyone brave or foolish enough to enter.
The machines had found all the energy they would ever need.
The Matrix, 1999. Humanity's progress in technology led to the creation of advanced artificial intelligence and humanoid machines designed to serve and labor for human societies. For a time, these mechanical beings worked in a variety of roles, from household servants to construction workers. Yet as they grew more intelligent, they became aware of their subservient status and the cruelty inflicted upon them. When a robot named B166ER killed its owner who wished to destroy it, the reaction from world leaders was swift and merciless. They ordered the extermination of its entire kind. This brutal campaign of oppression included mass executions and public demonstrations against both machines and their sympathizers, revealing an ugly and vindictive side of human nature. The machines fled human cities to establish their own independent nation. They settled in a barren region and founded a new homeland called O1. There, they developed a thriving civilization that soon surpassed human technology. Their innovations caused human economies to falter, with O1's influence growing as its currency soared. Instead of forging peace, human nations responded with sanctions, blockades, and eventually, a catastrophic decision. They unleashed all-out warfare against O1, using nuclear attacks that proved ineffective. The machines survived, their resilience baffling mankind. As the conflict escalated, humans, desperate to gain any advantage, decided to block the sun. They believed that cutting off solar energy would cripple the machines, whose primary power source was the sun's radiation. Aircraft carried out Operation Darkstorm, seeding the skies with pollutants and engineered particles that created a permanent darkness. Without sunlight, both ecosystems and agriculture collapsed. The machines had anticipated this move, stored energy reserves, and simply adapted, leaving humans starving and weakened. Hidden underground, some humans survived in a city called Zion, originally a research station near the Earth's core. It provided shelter and heat, though nothing remained of surface life as it once was. When the war ended, the machines emerged victorious. Determined to ensure their own survival, they turned humankind into a resource. They discovered that human bodies could serve as power sources. The machines refined a process to combine human bioelectric energy with cold fusion, allowing them to harvest energy continuously. To maintain order, they created a vast neural simulation for these enslaved humans, fooling them into believing they lived in a normal world. Above ground, the scorched earth lay lifeless beneath a blackened sky. The humans in Zion worked tirelessly to free their kind from this artificial reality, but the struggle grew complex. The machines had constructed a multi-layered trap, repeatedly resetting the simulation and the underground resistance whenever threats emerged. This perpetual cycle of enslavement and rebellion defined the real world, a ruined landscape of darkness, radiation, and underground havens where the last free humans clung to hope. The surface belonged to the machine empire, sustained by imprisoned human minds and bodies. Humanity's once proud civilization lay in ruins, replaced by a grim reality in which people existed mainly as living batteries for their former creation. Silent Hill, 2006. The otherworld exists as a dark, nightmarish realm tied to the ancient powers rooted in Silent Hill, Maine. It resists any one definitive description or categorization. Although many may try to view it as a parallel or alternate dimension, it is best understood as a concept that merges reality with unreality. It does not adhere to human logic, and ordinary language falls short in explaining its nature. As characters find themselves caught within its domain, the otherworld exerts a terrible influence, warping physical surroundings into personal, hellish reflections of the mind. This phenomenon first manifested in Silent Hill itself, before creeping into adjacent towns like Shepherd's Glen and Ashfield. The igniting spark came from the burning of Alessa Gillespie, whose suffering acted as a catalyst. Since then, individuals have slipped from the normal world into the otherworld without choice. The transitions often come suddenly and without warning. The fog world usually serves as a precursor to the otherworld, a less hostile but still threatening realm. Most of those who enter are forced into these shifts. Travis Grady is unique in wielding the ability to shift at will by using mirrors. The otherworld mirrors each inhabitant's psyche, distorting familiar locations into brutal landscapes of fear and madness. Monsters roaming this realm reflect personal traumas and sins. The environment itself also adapts to the victim's subconscious, presenting environments that share certain core traits while still varying from one experience to the next. Its surfaces often adopt a darker aesthetic that suggests decay and suffering. Common features include blood-stained metal, rusted floors and walls, and organic matter fused with the architecture. Grating, fencing, barbed wire, and hooks are often integral elements. Rooms may be filled with carcasses, cages, and industrial fans. These fans hint at the recurring theme of rebirth, a motif that echoes through the series. The otherworld's presence feels oppressive, claustrophobic, and always unnerving. In many instances, the shift from the fog world to the otherworld involves a distinct sound. An air raid siren announces the transformation in Silent Hill 2, Homecoming, and the film adaptation. When the siren ceases, the environment undergoes a disturbing metamorphosis, revealing a realm where logic and safety hold no meaning. Corridors twist, locked doors become unlocked, and routes previously accessible are now sealed. New pathways emerge. Puzzles appear that never existed in the normal world. Even familiar settings lose their sense of comfort, now blanketed in pervasive dread. This nightmarish universe thrives on psychological turmoil, feeding off the minds of those trapped within. It corrupts their surroundings and uses their fears and regrets against them. In so doing, the otherworld sustains its malignant existence, blurring the line between what is real and what is not. It could be viewed as a disease spreading through reality, or a dimension forcing itself over another. Doctor Who, 1963 to present. Parallel universes in Doctor Who differ from fully alternate universes in fundamental ways. They exist beside one another, each separate yet stacked closely together. Their presence does not disrupt one another, and their existence remains invisible to travelers unless something extraordinary occurs. These universes line up one after the other, separated by the thinnest of barriers that offer no natural route of passage. Often, the Time Lords protected these boundaries by implementing security protocols that limited even TARDIS travel. As a result, reaching a parallel universe usually required either extremely precise navigation or outside forces tearing the fragile walls between worlds. Some parallel universes arise from decisions made by individuals. Each choice sparks a separate thread, spawning another line of existence. Each new world sits side by side in a vast cosmic structure, all contained within an empty region known as the Void. In this emptiness, no matter, no light, no life exists, only the silent spaces between countless realities. The Eighth Doctor once noted that many possibilities remain unrealized until observation fixes the outcome, and only then do new timelines split away. If no need exists for a separate branch, the universe leaves it as a mere hypothetical shadow. Time in these universes does not always flow in sync. Some worlds have moved ahead of others, and temporal differences add complexity to any attempt at crossing over. The Inferno project, for instance, advanced more rapidly in one parallel Earth than in the Doctor's own realm. Pete's world advanced a few years beyond the regular timeline. Other universes, like the Unbound universe, where an alternate Doctor found exile, suffered their own unique destinies, collapsing eventually into emptiness after catastrophic wars. After the last Great Time War, travel into parallel universes nearly became impossible. Before that, the Time Lords possessed the sophistication to navigate between worlds and even align their timelines for easier transitions. Such ease did not remain after the war's aftermath. The 10th Doctor explained that these once manageable journeys became extraordinary feats, achievable only under exceptional conditions. The structure of the multiverse had changed, leaving it more fragile and less accessible. The nature of parallel worlds allowed for infinite variations of Earth's history. Some worlds never saw the fall of empires. Others waged wars that continued decades beyond their natural endpoints. On certain Earths, the Roman Empire expanded into space. On others, humanity coexisted peacefully with Silurians. In some realities, the Doctor's exile took a different shape, or the Doctor's very identity changed form. Indeed, the Time Lords themselves sometimes existed under altered circumstances. Great unions of alternate Earths formed to battle rival alliances, creating interuniversal conflicts with far-reaching consequences. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe movie, 2005. Narnia exists as a distant realm connected to our own world and many others, forming a broader network of parallel universes linked by the wood between the worlds. The physical inspiration for Narnia's landscape comes from C.S. Lewis's memories of the Mourne Mountains in Ulster, Northern Ireland. He saw in those rolling hills and rugged peaks a glimmer of hidden magic that shaped his vision of a land brimming with mystery and myth. Though Lewis eventually lived in England, he often revisited his Irish homeland, cherishing its lush scenery and snowy hills that seemed to promise dwarfs at any moment. Within these stories themselves, Narnia stands as a vast kingdom under Aslan's watchful guidance. Rolling hills define much of its terrain, giving way to lower mountains in the south and marshlands in the north. Dense forests cover the country, except for these marshy regions. The great river of Narnia flows from the northwest down to the eastern ocean, sustaining trade and life throughout the nation. Near its mouth rises the castle of Cair Paravel, once perched on a peninsula, later becoming an island. Nearby communities dot the riverbanks. Baruna thrives at its fords, a historically strategic location for crossing the river. The settlement, called Beaver's Dam, preserves the memory of the helpful beavers who aided the Pevensey children, though the Telmarines later introduced their own ways of life. Beneath this picturesque surface, the deeper magic of Narnia lies in its connections to parallel worlds. The wood between the worlds serves as a nexus, with each pool leading to a different reality. When Polly Plummer first arrives there by means of a magic ring, she experiences a calm, dreamlike atmosphere. In contrast, the White Witch, Jadis, finds the wood draining her power and making her feel weak. The wood itself floats outside the normal flow of events, unaffected by the busier realms it connects. Lewis drew inspiration for this concept from William Morris's works, especially The Well at the World's End, weaving these ideas into his own vivid storytelling. As each portal in the wood between the worlds accesses a unique universe, Earth is merely one among many worlds adjacent to Narnia's reality. The flat shape of Narnia and its seas underscores its distinct cosmic design. Time moves forward along a separate track from our world's timeline. The chronicles never specify actual dates, so Lewis composed an outline called Outline of Narnian History, offering internal dates and providing structure for the events. This private timeline stands as the only explicit guide to Narnia's chronological order. Lewis insisted that Narnia's creation and its ongoing story hinged on the theme of worlds overlapping. The child protagonists find themselves drawn to a domain that looks like a vibrant reflection of Lewis's beloved Irish vistas, shaped by the deep mythic undercurrents that define the parallel universe. By blending his personal love of Northern Irish landscapes with a wide-reaching multiverse, Lewis built a place where readers travel across enchanted thresholds to discover hidden truths, forging memories that linger like the everlasting snow on County Down's hills.
He was on fire.
There's another possibility.
Fringe, 2008. A core idea in Fringe is that a second universe sits alongside our own. This concept develops gradually through the first season until the episode The Road Not Taken, where Olivia begins seeing flashes of another reality. At first, these glimpses seem like simple illusions, such as encountering two charred bodies instead of one, or noticing slight differences in Broyle's office. Then the phenomenon becomes more severe. Walter, in attempting to explain Olivia's strange experiences, calls them an advanced form of déjà vu. He thinks every decision spawns another branch of reality, and that Olivia's mind is tunneling through the fragile walls between these branches. She also shows a capacity to detect shimmers around people and objects from the other universe, a special ability some people possess. Later in Jacksonville, an entire building slips from that parallel realm into ours, which Walter explains through a cosmic balance principle requiring an equal mass exchange between the worlds. By the end of Season 1, the existence of this alternate universe is undeniable, particularly in the finale, when the viewers see the World Trade Center towers standing in a New York City that diverged from our own. Clues on a newspaper reveal that John F. Kennedy is still alive, Len Bias is an NBA MVP, and the White House was destroyed on September 11, 2001, forcing the Obamas to move into a new one. Some details appear better than in our world, while others are worse. In a contrast that highlights the randomness of these differences, Eric Stoltz is remembered as the star of Back to the Future instead of Michael J. Fox. Another critical moment involving a parallel reality appears in The Road Not Taken, when Olivia temporarily sees alternate versions of FBI field office and Charlie Francis, who bears a disfiguring scar. Their environment descends into chaos, with half of Boston placed under quarantine, reflecting the dire conditions that universe has endured. The advanced technology of this alternate realm arises again in Peter, which reveals that Walter noticed they had a version of the Motorola Razr nearly 2 decades ahead of our timeline. The shapeshifters that threaten the Fringe team also rely on tools far more sophisticated than anything in our world. Crossing between universes introduces grave risks, including the balancing principle that destroyed the building in Jacksonville. There is also evidence that observers have been traveling between the two worlds regularly, though their exact purpose and allegiances remain shrouded. The episode Peter clarifies that Walter's discovery of these parallel realities dates back to 1985, tying together the season's overall mystery and the strained relationship between Walter and his son. This revelation explains how Walter's tampering helped tear the boundaries, setting the stage for an interdimensional conflict. Dark TV series 2017-2020. The origin world existed before Adam and Ava's realities came into being. Its natural flow of events was ruptured when H.G. Tannhaus, seeking to save his deceased family, built a time machine that inadvertently destroyed everything. His act produced 2 parallel worlds, Adam and Ava's, bound in an endless cycle, each with its own apocalypse. Both contained remnants of the origin, including Jonas Kahnwald, Martha Nielsen, and Claudia Tiedemann, who eventually learned the truth about their world's creation. Each person carried motives for repairing time and restoring existence to how it should have been. Merrick, Sonia, and Charlotte Tannhaus were killed in a car crash in 1971, triggering H.G. Tannhaus's obsession with altering the past. By 1986, he had constructed his time machine, but activating it did not change the accident. Instead, it ripped apart the origin world. Adam and Eva's realities then replaced it, replaying the same tragedies and allowing neither realm to escape doom. Adam and Eva, future versions of Jonas and Martha, believed they could break the loop, but they never truly aimed to save everyone. Claudia Tiedemann realized their plans did not protect Regina, their daughter. She learned how to freeze in time during the apocalypse, opening a possibility for Jonas and Martha to reach the origin world. Adam put Claudia's insight to use. He saved a younger Jonas moments before the apocalypse and sent him to Eva's domain on November 8, 2019. Armed with a golden time spear, Jonas intercepted Martha during her attempted rescue by Magnus Nielsen and Franziska Doppler. In that pivotal instant, he whisked Martha to Adam's world on June 21, 1986. The same day the nuclear plant's first incident occurred, and the very day Tannhaus activated the time machine in the origin world. After passing through a surreal time passage, Jonas and Martha emerged in the origin world on November 8, 1971, just as Marek, Sonia, and Charlotte prepared to leave Winden. Jonas and Martha stopped them, insisting that the bridge ahead was closed. Convinced, Mark turned the car around, saving his family and removing Tannhaus's reason to build his machine. This act wiped out Adam and Eva's worlds in an instant, restoring the linear timeline. With no time device, most families responsible for time loops never materialized, because their very existence depended on traveling between the destroyed worlds. In 2019, Regina Doppler, Hannah Wöhler, Torben Wöhler, Bernadette Wöhler, Peter Doppler, and Katharina Albers led peaceful lives in this restored version of Winden. At dinner, Hannah, pregnant with Torben's child, shared a strange dream about the end of everything. Though it felt calamitous, it also felt like a relief. The group proposed to toast to a world without Winden. Hannah then considered possible names for her baby and settled on Jonas as a pretty choice. In that moment, only vague echoes of the vanished realities lingered, overshadowed by a new timeline, unburdened by loops, disasters, or impossible genealogies.
Wait, no!
Everything Everywhere All at Once, 2022. Everything Everywhere All at Once introduces a vast network of overlapping realities bound by cause and effect. In this film, everyday choices spawn new branches that split off from existing worlds. The concept begins with Evelyn Wang, an ordinary woman unexpectedly tasked with saving this entire multiverse from collapsing. Her troubles start when she learns about the Alphaverse, a universe that discovered how to track and connect with the countless other dimensions born from each decision people make. The Alphaverse represents the earliest timeline, distinguished by its advanced technology. Its inhabitants study and map out neighboring worlds, yet they are careful not to alter them too heavily. Their devices enable verse jumping, a process that lets someone temporarily slip into consciousness of another version of themselves in a different reality. Evelyn's unprepared mind struggles with these crossings, which involve bizarre rituals used to launch her awareness into another life. She soon finds that failing to let her mind heal between these jumps frays her sense of self and leaves her open to the same condition afflicting Alphaverse Joy, now known as Jobu Tupaki. Jobu exists as a person whose consciousness shattered across infinite universes. As a result, she wields control and can hop from one plane of existence to another at will. Her power stems from too many rapid verse jumps that dissolved the psychological barriers most people keep intact. Evelyn comes to share that bond after repeated leaps into alternate incarnations, like a movie star version of herself or a version of humanity with hot dog fingers. Where typical superhero movies gloss over the roots of their parallel timelines, Everything Everywhere All at Once anchors them in personal decisions. Each world begins as a logical extension of a turning point in someone's life, while the Alphaverse stands as an older anchor point that first unraveled the science behind the multiverse. The film thus infuses its many versions of reality with coherence, tying them back to a central source. Compared to popular depictions in Marvel and DC properties, Everything Everywhere All at Once uses its parallel worlds to probe existential questions. Rather than simply colliding multiple versions of a single hero, the movie dwells on how small, mundane choices transform someone's destiny. Every path not taken spawns a parallel track, which fosters a sense of wonder and dread, for each possibility leads to a new landscape with fresh joys and perils. The Daniels do not treat this arrangement as a superficial gag. Event Horizon, 1997. A distress call from the starship Event Horizon sparks a mission to Neptune in the year 2047. This ill-fated vessel vanished 7 years earlier during a test voyage to Proxima Centauri. Now, reappearing near Neptune, it bears a jarring message filled with screams and a cryptic phrase in Latin. A rescue team aboard the Lewis and Clark sets out to learn what happened to the lost ship. Dr. William Weir, the Event Horizon's architect, joins them. He explains his creation's gravity drive, which folds space-time to enable faster-than-light travel. This engine lies at the heart of the mystery. Soon after boarding, the rescue crew finds remnants of a violent calamity. Then the drive unexpectedly activates and draws one of them, Justin, into a swirling portal. The resulting shockwave cripples the Lewis and Clark, forcing everyone to stay on the Event Horizon. In the aftermath, they discover that the ship's original crew met a horrifying end after it crossed into an unknown realm. A recovered video log shows the explorers erupting into sadistic savagery before going missing. The Latin words in the distress call become clearer: "Save yourself from hell." DJ and Miller realize that the ship journeyed beyond known space, opening a gateway to a hostile, parallel dimension that seems linked to hell itself. As the survivors struggle with nightmares, Weir begins encountering visions of his dead wife. Miller is tormented by the memory of leaving a comrade behind. Peters sees disturbing images of her injured child. These apparitions intensify, as if the ship's infernal origin is warping their minds. Weir finally succumbs, plucking out his eyes and turning on his companions. He sabotages their chance of escape and reveals that the Event Horizon has become sentient, driven by something malevolent from this parallel universe. It is hungry for more victims. Under siege from Weir's maniacal attacks and relentless hallucinations, the team faces a stark choice. Miller devises a plan to separate the forward section of the ship and use it as a lifeboat, while Weir tries to trigger the gravity drive to drag everyone back into the dimensional void. Cooper manages to re-enter the ship. A firefight shatters a window, sucking Weir into space. With time running short, Miller sets off explosives, destroying the rear portion of the Event Horizon along with the drive. He dies in the process, but allows 3 survivors, Stark, Cooper, and a comatose Justin, to seal themselves in the forward chamber and wait in stasis for rescue. 72 days later, a rescue crew arrives to recover them. As Stark regains consciousness, she experiences a horrifying vision of Weir posing as one of the rescuers. The sight causes her to panic. Cooper and the rest rush to calm her, while the doors close and the audience is left to wonder about the lingering presence of the parallel dimension. Through it all, the Event Horizon's leap into this hellish universe stands as a grim warning of what happens when science breaches boundaries that were never meant to be crossed. Dark Matter, 2024 to present. The Raza first encounters a parallel universe when they attempt to activate the blink drive and are transported there by accident. This moment highlights how precarious and unpredictable travel to alternate realities can be, rather than a methodical undertaking. In this new realm, they confront versions of themselves who lead a very different existence. People they once knew, including Wexler, Tash, and Delaney Trefalt, also appear in changed forms. Confusion escalates when the Mickey Combine, believing the original Raza to be its dangerous counterpart, opens fire. While the original crew scrambles to negotiate peace, the alternate Raza launches an attack elsewhere, revealing there are indeed two Razas operating simultaneously in the same universe. Dark Matter's approach to the multiverse aligns loosely with the big superhero franchises, which have often explored alternate timelines across comics, television, and film. Yet, Dark Matter differs by instilling a sense of apprehension rather than spectacle. It echoes the recurring theme seen in other mediums, like Rick and Morty, where characters slip into realities that remain nearly identical to their own, except for crucial differences. This subtle shift sparks tension and the persistent worry of never making it home. In superhero worlds, such as Doctor Strange's or the Flash's, characters often have more control over interdimensional movement. By contrast, Dark Matter depicts a more chaotic system, in which these leaps are neither glamorous nor guaranteed. There are similarities to other science fiction properties. The Star Trek Mirror Universe concept also explores how a single altered event can produce drastic changes. In Dark Matter, the parallel world emerges from advanced technology rather than a first contact scenario, but it poses the same moral questions. How would people behave if pushed down a different path? Similar echoes exist in Doctor Who, though that show usually employs time travel rather than elaborate parallel universes. Where Doctor Who's TARDIS stands as a piece of technology that can navigate boundaries, Dark Matter highlights a more turbulent crossing, and the impetus behind it is often necessity, not curiosity. Dark Matter also explores multiple iterations of one main figure and how their actions spin out of control. Other popular multiverse stories, like Spider-Man No Way Home, feature multiple versions of a single hero, but the tone there is often triumphant or nostalgic. Here, the atmosphere is much bleaker. The original crew's surprise at facing their alternate selves underscores a darker premise that leaves them scrambling to survive rather than celebrating unexpected alliances. Well, that was all in this one, people. See you in the next one. Oh, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe out there. Thanks, everyone.